Roger and Sarah Bansemer traveled to one of the most unusual events ever held. It's called Burning Man, and you can join them on the next episode of Painting and Travel as Sarah rides in the Neverwas vehicle and Roger paints among the crowds.
Today, our travels have brought us to Black Rock City, better known as Burning Man, an event where people come together for just 1 week to discover a unique city. With a population of over 40,000, consumption is low and creativity is high. Everyone subsists from only what they bring with them, and when leaving, everything must be removed and left as it was, a vast, untouched, alkaline expanse of wind and dust. Once inside, getting around is solely by bicycle or by one of the many art vehicles which serve as public transportation. Camps, each with their individual style or interest, make up a tapestry of living areas which include RVs, tents, or just sleeping bags. To be sure, this event is not for everyone, but Sarah and I have come for the art, which is authentic and without pretense. Today I'll be painting inside this hub of activity called Center Camp. And instead of going through each step in the process of painting, I'll concentrate more on the sights, sounds, and sensory impressions of what it's like to be involved in a place where no one is a spectator and everyone is a participant. Well, as you can see, we're in a totally different location than we're accustomed to being. This is Burning Man. We're in the middle of a desert in Nevada. It's very difficult to do anything here. It's just extremely dusty. But there's so much creativity and energy here that Sarah and I just wanted to be a part of this event. And there aren't very many painters out here, but I found one here. It's my friend John from California. So we've set up our easels this morning, and we're doing a small painting in what they call Center Camp. This is a difficult subject to paint. Everything is moving, the light is going to be changing across the sky, but primarily just there's so much activity here. But it's a real challenge, and I think it's just going to be a fun just to be involved in this sort of activity. I'm using acrylics this morning, as I usually do, and I have a limited palette. I have white, ultramarine blue, cerulean blue, alizarin crimson, naphthol red, Indian yellow, cadmium yellow, and a little bit of black. The light has already changed since I started here a little while ago. Earlier, this was very, very warm, and now almost a red color. Now it's turning yellow, more yellow as the sun is coming up. Because earlier, when the sun is low on the horizon, you're going to get more warm colors. As it rises, you'll get the more yellows. So really, I'm just going to have to sort of go with my own instinct here and just try and create an impression of what I see here and see how it goes. Probably a studio painting would more accurately represent this, but just being on location, maybe I can get some of the energy from what's going on here. I'm going to simplify this painting as much as I can. I've noticed that all these panels running on the roof of this tent, some of them are triangular, and then it goes to a rectangular panel. I think I'm going to make them all rectangular just for simplicity purposes. I can already tell my drawing is not that accurate, and I usually really try and get an accurate drawing before I ever start painting, because that's really the basis of a good painting is solid drawing. But I'm just sort of overwhelmed by all this activity and all these shapes, so really no excuse for that. It's just, I'm just going to try and put down an impression, because we have kind of a limited amount of time in this program, and hopefully it'll turn out. Really like the way the sunlight's starting to come across this canvas on the floor now. It's just totally covered with dust, but it makes a very nice white sort of powdery surface. One thing that impresses me about Burning Man is nobody sells things here. People are not allowed to sell things, so you don't see funnel cakes and hot dogs and things like that. The only thing that's sold here is water, ice, and coffee right over here. Everything else is, if you get anything from anybody else, it's just a gift. The other thing that impresses me here with all these people, I think there's supposed to be about 50,000 people here, I have not seen any cigarette butts on the ground and no trash. It's a very liberal event, but people do not litter here. And when this is all over with, from what I understand, when everything is gone, this will be just like it was 2 weeks ago, just desert, no trash, no nothing left. Even the Burning Man that they'll burn later, all that's just picked up, so it's totally clean. It's pretty amazing. A lot of the activity goes on here at night at Burning Man, and you'll see all sorts of interesting sculptures that are lit. And a lot of the vehicles, any vehicle going around here is considered public transportation. So that's, other than bicycles, that's how you get around Burning Man. I guess if painting in a situation like this will teach me anything, it will just teach me to not be afraid to just dive in and try something new. As wild as this event is, everybody seems to be really considerate. I mean, when we're painting out on many locations, we get so many interruptions. Here there's, thousands of people just wandering right around here, and really nobody's sort of bothering us. Everybody's just sort of leaving us alone, which is sort of nice. Well, this painting is all about people, really, so I've got blocked in here, I think, a little bit of the scene, and now I'll maybe start indicating some people in here. This is called Center Camp. Everything branches out from this center camp like the spokes of a wheel, and everybody's camped around this big wheel, and then the big sculptures and things are out in this part of the desert. And in Center Camp here, people just perform. It's just, you can just go out there and perform and do whatever you'd like. So we're sort of watching that as we paint. We went on a tour last night to see some of the sculptures around Burning Man here, and they were really nice. And of course, there's the temple here, too. And it wasn't quite finished when we got here, but it is now, and it's just an incredible piece of architecture. It's only here for 8 days, and then it's all gone. I really have to get into the sort of mood of an impressionist, I think, painting a subject like this. I have to give up all my ideas of sort of trying to be accurate, because everything is just in total movement. I think maybe the most difficult part for me is trying to figure out how to indicate all these figures and people. There's some really great characters around here. There's so many good faces to paint. I don't pretend to be making a really good painting here, but painting on location is just a lot about the experience. And if the painting doesn't come out very well, just the experience of painting here and the learning experience is really good, because you can just see all different kind of colors you can never see in a photograph. Not that I'll get all those colors down by any means, but they sort of stick up here in your head. Then when you're painting in a studio or doing another painting, you can recall a lot of these things just by the notes that are made on a painting like this. I see so many patterns of warm colors and cool colors. The idea that shadows are cool, patches of sunlight are warm. That almost all falls apart here because there's just so many influences of everything else around it, especially this tent. It's just a real kaleidoscope of just subtle values. Painting a subject like this, I can really see how the Impressionists got their start. There's almost no other way to do a painting like this other than to just take the impression of this. Got a nice patch of sunlight coming over here now. I'm sort of looking for a good excuse to put some strong sunlight somewhere. As soon as I start painting somebody, they move. I don't think I have more than 30 seconds to try and capture a gesture, which is pretty easy when you're drawing, but with paint, not quite so easy. I think another reason that makes it difficult to paint here, there's so many just great distractions like this. Well, as you can see, as the day moves on, there gets to be lots more people here. Now my painting, I feel like I don't have anybody in my painting because it's just getting really crowded now. Well, one thing I'm missing is all this wire that's holding this tent together. Not sure whether I should put it in now or not. This is acrylics, so this is dry, so maybe I'll attempt it. We have a few flags hanging down here, so maybe I'll put those in before I put the wires in. Well, John, you were the inspiration for this because I never would have tackled this subject had you not been here painting first.
Cool. You ever paint on the playa?
Well, it's really hard to stop painting here because it's just so much fun. But there's a lot of activity. It's getting so crowded now. I think I'm going to call it quits on this painting. I'll sign it here. And I think I'm going to just leave it the way it is, not work on it anymore in the studio. This will be my souvenir of Burning Man.
Good morning. I'm standing here with Major Catastrophe, who is the master and commander of the Neverwas Haul, which is an art vehicle, most unusual, Victorian style. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please tell me about your wonderful vehicle.
Well, this is a self-propelled 3-story Victorian house. This is our exploratory vehicle, we being the Traveling Academy of Unnatural Science. And we use this vehicle in our exploration and our quest to circumnavigate the Earth without the use of a Zeppelin.
How fascinating. Now, what's an example of an unnatural science?
Well, anything man-made, of course.
I see.
So there you go. Nature, of course, has all your bugs and birds and whatnot. And of course, anything made by man would not be natural. It's unnatural. So we study the unnatural activities of man, which Burning Man is a fantastic example of all sorts of unnatural things happening here in the Black Rock Desert.
Major Catastrophe, about how long did it take to build this after the conception of the idea?
Well, we built the Neverwas Haul in '06 and brought it out that same year. So it took us about 6 months to fabricate and construct the Neverwas Haul. Though I like to think that we built it in 6 months, but we've been repairing it ever since.
That's wonderful. And where did you find the items to build this with? This is quite extraordinary right here.
Well, actually, what you're actually seeing here, this is actually a fabrication, though this twisted metal and most of the metal involved with this is actually scavenged. These are hand railings from 1960s era cheap iron porches. So these are actually scavenged from railings. The flat metal I scavenged from other people's projects. It was leftover metal, but I actually bought the tubular steel and had it bent by a metal bender. The hull is 85% recycled material. There actually was a company that was resawing lumber, and this was the debris from their saw works. So this is actually thrown away. This was actually wood thrown away by a recycle company. So this has been recycled from a recycler who was recycling.
Oh, well, that's quite ingenious, and it's keeping in style with the Burning Man theme of leave no trace and trying to be green and ecologically conscious. Thank you very much. So can we thumb a ride?
Yes, we are going to be departing shortly, so I recommend that you get aboard and find yourself a seat.
Yes, sir, will do.
Right this way.
Thanks.
We can do it up on the lounge deck.
That was jarring. All right. Where did you guys drive this?
Oh, this is the parlor area of the Victorian house. We've even got velveteen curtains and fringe and some period furniture and a Persian rug. This must be the way up to the sun deck. Well, from the top of the Neverwas Haul, I'm getting an astounding view of the Burning Man layout, and it's just extraordinarily large. I had no idea when we planned to come here that it would be so huge. Well, from here I can see the esplanade, which is kind of the main drag that goes around in front of the Burning Man sculpture itself.
Turn on the engine and the compressor.
Our house is on the move. And we have to watch out for other people on bicycles and on foot. So this is quite an extraordinary experience here. This is great. I see there are very careful drivers. We're moving on the playa, which is just dust and ruts.
That are like this all 52 weeks a year. You know, they don't find Burning Man to be a release for anything. This is what they do.
I didn't go to school to be an artist. I grew up being an artist. Both my mother and father met in art school, and we basically grew up as being the children of artists, and of course, we will be artists.
And I noticed that some of the cars, some of the vehicles here are nicely decorated, but there's a difference between the decorated vehicles and the art vehicles. And yours is certainly in that latter category.
I think what I am bringing here is specifically art on the level of the theatrical, because I actually spent the first 20 years of my life, of my career, being a theatrical designer for small theaters and film companies in the San Francisco Bay Area, building sets and building props and creating pieces. I don't pour my heart into creating some fantastic prop or some fantastic set piece for Sound of Music or Caucasian Chalk Circle, and then in 3 weeks it was torn apart and cannibalized for the next show. I would then went on to working for film companies, and as soon as the shot was over, it was torn apart, cut up, dumped.
Now this makes more sense to me than ever. This is a set. This is a mobile set.
Yes, this is
fully functioning mobile set.
This is a set for a theatrical production that is yet to be created. This is the set for the Neverwas saga, the eventual story of the Victorian fantasy story that is yet to be written, of the ill-fated adventures of the Neverwas crew and their quest to circumnavigate the Earth. So this is like, instead of having a set left over from a movie or from a play or from a book, this is actually, we start out building the set. The story is then written by the people who interact in it.
And you know what's nice is I'm going to leave with my own story, and it will be unique to me from my experience riding your wonderful vehicle.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
And this is exactly my thing, is for everybody to open up their imagination and take from here something that they will grow with. my vehicle is a scientific exploration and not a conquest of empire. Well, that is so seductive. I may entertain that for the future. Maybe a Victorian gunboat. Yes, we'll bring gunboat diplomacy to the savagery.
No, I like the other one better. It's a very nice impression you're giving, and it does open my imagination too.
For more information about painting and travel with Roger and Sarah Bansemer, visit paintingandtravel.com.